There are three things every prosecutor hopes to have when they take someone to trial: means, motive, and opportunity. And the prosecutors feel pretty solid in their attempted murder case against Kristen Hogan. Ms. Hogan is a Connecticut mom in the midst of a bitter custody battle with her estranged husband, and prosecutors say she spiked some wine and iced tea in his fridge with monoethylene glycol. That's the main stuff found in antifreeze. Prosecutors say her online history proves that she had the means or the ability to commit the crime, searching for things like potassium cyanide and monoethylene glycol. Not to mention asking the question, how much of these substances would kill you? But even more troubling, maybe, the bottle of monoethylene glycol that police say she bought in July, a month before her husband was poisoned. As for the motive, the husband told the police that if he were dead, she would get the house and the kid. And that brings me to opportunity. According to prosecutors, she used the U.S. court system to create the opportunity to spike her husband's drinks. And by that, I mean Hogan scheduled a custody hearing for August 7th, but she was a no-show. The husband says while he and the lawyers and the judge were all there waiting in the courtroom for her to arrive, he got an alert showing his wife's cell phone had connected to his Wi-Fi at his home. He later told the police that the alert meant that she was the last person to be in the house prior to him coming home and drinking the wine. He says he drank a small amount August 10th and vomited into the next day. His mom found him slurring his words and staggering and vomiting. He was rushed to the hospital where doctors first thought he was having a stroke before discovering it was antifreeze. It was so bad he was placed on dialysis for renal failure. And when he first heard about the poisoned wine part, he immediately told police he thought his wife had done it August 7th when she was a no-show for that court date. She denied doing it at first, but then later admitted to putting a small amount of the poison into his drink. She said she never wanted to kill him, just make him sick as payback for him mentally abusing her. The case has been compared to other high-profile cases with antifreeze and poison, like Mark Jensen, who was found guilty of murdering his wife Julie in 1998 after poisoning her with antifreeze. And Corey Richens is accused of poisoning her husband with a lethal dose of fentanyl 3 years ago. She's set to stand trial this February. And I'm lucky enough to be joined right now by Richens' former criminal defense attorney, Skye Lazaro. Skye, it's good to have you back on the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ashleigh. I always love coming on your show.
Well, love you right back. What are your initial thoughts about this case in Connecticut?
This is a really interesting case because ultimately she admitted to it, but she said she didn't mean to kill him. In Connecticut, attempted murder requires more than just a mere threat or a mere attempt, and you have to have the specific intent to commit the crime, which is murder. So that may be a little bit problematic for him. I know they have the internet searches and some of these other things, but where she's come forward and said, hey, look, I poisoned him, but I just wanted to make him sick as payback. I didn't really mean to kill him, might be a little bit of a hurdle for them to get over in terms of proving an attempted murder.
Well, yeah, that's what I kind of thought, because those internet searches were pretty, like, how much does it take to kill someone? I guess you could look at that both ways, right? I want to kill him, or I don't want to kill him, so how much do I need?
I didn't want to kill him. Yeah. Sorry, what?
So I was thinking, is that the argument that both the prosecutors would use and the defense would use?
I would expect so. I mean, if you're the defense attorney, you have to be able to explain these searches away. And this is the worst thing in all of these cases is people search everything and your heart kind of sinks when you see it in discovery. But in a case like this, where she said, no, I didn't mean to kill him, you really could flip this to say, look, she was only going to give him such, a smaller amount, but she wanted to know what that amount was. Now, unfortunately, the flip side of that is, prosecutors are going to use it the other way. And then she came out and she said she wasn't really sure how much she put in the bottle.
Yeah, that's not very good. How about this fact that she searched for cyanide, potassium cyanide, because that's a pretty awful thing. And she told them, she told the police the reason she was searching for potassium cyanide was because she'd seen it on a detective show called Psych. And I guess we all do kind of crazy web searches here and there. I mean, don't even ask about me and my team and true crime, all the things that we've searched. But I guess part and parcel of it all, it just kind of puts together a picture where the coincidence doesn't really seem to be as probable.
Right. And I think it's not helpful for her, especially depending on what the timeline of those searches were. If this was a while ago, maybe. But if it was close in time, they're going to have a hard time explaining that away. We saw this in that Craig case in Colorado, where he was searching different kinds of poisons. And we, know how that turned out for him. So I think they're going to have a hard time explaining away these searches where there's multiple substances there.
Yeah, that was that dentist in Colorado who murdered his wife and had the mistress in Texas who said, dang, I didn't know that he was married. He told me he wasn't. It was really fascinating. Okay, and I just got to make sure that he really did. I'm going to say allegedly, because I'm not sure if that case has been adjudicated. Has it?
It has. He was convicted.
Okay. Killer. Okay. All right. So the other question I have for you is that their son was apparently hospitalized in late September, this is within this window, for similar symptoms, which made me think, dear God, what mom, if she's guilty, would have possibly exposed her child when he went over to dad's house to the iced tea or the wine? I mean, I would feel like those charges would be upgraded, not only for him, but also to potentially endanger a child. So like maybe attempted murder of the child, which sounds crazy, but also endangering a child. What sort of upgraded charges could you imagine?
I could see some sort of child abuse type charges or something along those lines, but it's going to be really hard to prove. Some of these poisons, depending on what they are, won't show up in something like a hair follicle test. So, poisons that metabolize really quickly in the body, I'm not a scientist, but I've done enough of these cases, there may not be any signs of it forensically that you can point to. And symptoms are tough, especially with kids. Now, maybe she was setting the dad up, I don't know, to make it look like he got sick at his house. Or maybe these symptoms were just really similar.
Skye, I got 10 seconds left, but I got to ask you about Corey Richens, your former client. Apparently, the prosecution's star witness has recanted. Do you think the case is going to fall apart?
I think it's really problematic, especially when they sat on this since I believe it was April. I mean, we saw in an affidavit that was filed in the court where the witness recanted, said when he told him it was fentanyl, it was because he was high and they kept asking him about it. Go back to the detention hearing that we had. It was a similar thing with their other witness where they kept leading her down the road. It took them 3 interviews to get her to say it was fentanyl. And now he's coming out back and saying, one of the prosecutors was there, I'm recanting, and then they don't turn it over. I don't think this plays well before a judge. And I think they're right to ask for her release. Now, whether or not they get it, we'll see.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.